planet, lost something. A key, a wallet, maybe even a pet. What if you lost something much bigger? What if you lost an entire planet? For centuries, this wasn't a hypothetical for the people of Cyrilia. It was a cold, hard galactic reality. They were a civilization adrift, their homeworld Xylos, just a myth. A bedtime story told two children born in the cold, sterile corridors of starships. But one day, a single, inexplicable echo rippled through the cosmos. An echo that shouldn't have existed. An echo that would change everything. This is the story of Elara, a brilliant but disgraced astrophysicist, and the echo that became her obsession. The Cyrillian diaspora had long given up hope of finding Xylos. Their ancestors fled a cataclysmic solar flare, a stellar event so massive it supposedly erased their home from all star charts, leaving no trace. The official story was that Xylos was gone, swallowed by its own sun. Generations were born and died in the vast emptiness of space. Their culture preserved in digital archives, their longing for solid ground a dull, constant ache. They became the Star Wanderers, a name that was once a tragedy but had since become an identity. Elara never accepted the official story. As a child, she'd pore over the fragmented data logs from the Great Exodus, the ones that survived the chaotic escape. She saw inconsistencies, things that didn't add up. The stellar models of the Xylos sun didn't predict a flare of that magnitude. It was like blaming a campfire for a forest fire. Her theories, however, were dismissed by the ruling council as dangerous nostalgia, a fantasy that distracted from the practical realities of survival. They stripped her of her research grants and reassigned her to a mundane orbital observatory, cataloguing asteroid debris, a punishment meant to silence her. But they couldn't silence the universe. One standard cycle. While running a routine deep space scan, her sensors picked it up. A faint, repeating signal. It wasn't a communication. It was more primal, like a cosmic heartbeat, a gravitational echo. According to all known physics, such an echo could only be generated by a planetary body of a very specific mass and resonance, being pulled by a very specific star. She ran the numbers, her hands trembling. The signature matched the theoretical profile of Xylos, but that was impossible. The system was supposed to be a graveyard. Elara knew going to the council was a dead end. They would confiscate her data and bury it. So she did something unthinkable. She broke the law. She reached out to Reese, a roguish cargo pilot who owed her a light. Reese was a pragmatist, a man who believed in credits and fuel cells, not myths. When Elara showed him the data, he just laughed. Chasing a ghost? For what? A planet that was probably a radioactive cinder. But Elara was persuasive. She didn't appeal to his sentiment. She appealed to his greed. The Exodus ships had left behind untold riches, advanced technology, precious minerals, historical artifacts of immeasurable value. If Xylos, or even a piece of it, still existed, the first one there would become wealthier than any Cyrillian in history. Reese, whose ship, the Stardust Drifter, was constantly one repair away from becoming space junk, couldn't ignore the allure of such a prize. He agreed, but on one condition: half of whatever they found. Their journey was a leap of faith into the forgotten regions of the galaxy. Using the Echo as their guide, they navigated through treacherous asteroid fields and past the gravitational pull of dying stars. The Echo was their only map, a fragile thread leading them through the dark. As they traveled, the signal grew stronger, more defined. It wasn't just a single echo anymore. It was a complex symphony of gravitational waves. Alara realized this wasn't the echo of a dead planet. It was the echo of a living one. During their long voyage, Reese saw a different side of Alara. He saw the fierce passion behind her scientific obsession. She showed him the digital archives of Xylo's images, of vast blue oceans, sprawling emerald forests, and cities that seemed to grow organically from the landscape. He heard the music, saw the art, and for the first time he began to understand what they had lost. It wasn't just a rock in space, it was a soul. His cynicism began to melt away, replaced by a cautious, unfamiliar feeling: hope. Finally, they arrived at the coordinates, and their jaws dropped. Before them was not the empty void the star charts promised. A swirling, shimmering nebula of impossible colors concealed the entire solar system. It was a cloaking field, but not one of technology. It was a natural phenomenon, a pocket of distorted space-time, manipulated and sustained by an energy source of unimaginable power. It had hidden Xylos from the galaxy for centuries. Reese was terrified. No natural nebula behaves like that, Alara. Something made this, something is holding it in place. Alara, however, was mesmerized. It's a quantum shield, the solar flare. It wasn't a natural event. It was a weapon. This shield was the defense. Our ancestors didn't just flee. They fought back. They saved the planet. With Elara's guidance, they found a weak point, a fluctuating seam in the nebula, and carefully navigated the Stardust Drifter through it. What they saw on the other side stole their breath. There was Xylos orbiting its sun, more beautiful than any archive could ever capture. It was alive. Oceans churned, clouds swirled, and the continents glowed with the soft lights of civilization. They weren't the only ones here. As they entered orbit, they were met not by weapons, but by a broadcast. A message of welcome. The descendants of those who stayed behind, the Keepers, had not only survived, they had thrived. They had harnessed the very energy that was meant to destroy them. Using their star's power to create the quantum shield and advance their technology in ways the Star Wanderers could imagine. They had been waiting, tending to the planet, broadcasting the subtle echo into the void, a lullaby for their lost children, a beacon to guide them home. Landing on Xylos was a profound experience. For the first time in his life, Reese felt solid ground beneath his feet, breathed unfiltered air, and felt a real wind on his face. He looked at Alara, who was on her knees, tears streaming down her face as she touched the rich soil. They were home. The reunion of the two branches of Cerulean civilization was complex. The Star Wanderers had a culture forged in hardship and survival, while the Keepers had a culture of harmony and deep connection to their world. But they were one people. Elara became a bridge between the two, her discovery rewriting history and shaping a new future. Reese, the cynical pilot, found a new purpose, not in chasing credit, but in helping ferry his people back to the world they thought was lost forever. The echo, a signal born from a cataclysm, had become a call to unity. It proved that even across the vast, silent emptiness of space, home is not just a place you leave behind. It's a feeling that waits, a connection that endures, and a song that will eventually lead you back. The children of Cerulia were no longer wanderers, they were home. Thanks so much for watching. This story reminds us that hope can be found in the most unexpected places. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories from across the cosmos and share your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, keep looking up.